good for things.
Hello, Maria here. I'm gonna make a no-sew spirit doll today out of 2 twigs and a polymer clay face made from a mold that is already baked. So these are just, there's some oak. I don't know what this was, but it's super strong. It's like a vine that is dry. I sanded them to get them smooth. You can also varnish them if you want a shine to them. So my idea is to use some clay and also use this like a fork with face like that. Well, I haven't made it before, so it's an experiment, but it's fun. I think it's going to be fun. So you can use masking tape. I have only painter's tape left, I noticed, so I'm going to use that. It's not as strong, but all I need is really for it to hold the twigs together. And they're not even, so I have to play with them a little bit to get them to cooperate. This one will stick out more. The bigger one is flatter. So I'm just gonna put on some more tape here. This is gonna go like on top, about there. So to make the body, I'm just gonna use some wrap foil. I just want a small thin armature to make sure that the clay will stick to this. You can try and figure out what shape you want and then make it into some kind of garment. If you don't want the bottom twigs to stick out at the end, you can cover it with foil also and make it all the way down to there. I don't mind the twig showing. So it'll be something like this. So I'll just tape this a little bit. My favorite clay to use for this is Epoxy Sculpt, which is an epoxy clay. It sticks to anything, and it's like super strong. But you could use air dry clay. You could even use polymer clay, because you could put the twigs are gonna be okay in the oven when you bake it. But I like Epoxy Sculpt, so that will be my next step. And so I'll get back with you in the next video. So these are 2-part clays called Epoxy Sculpt Part B and Part A. I bought these on Amazon. They're about $58 for 2 pounds. It's 4 pounds. It's expensive, but like I said, I like it because it's so strong. So I actually weigh these to make sure they're about the same size, not to have any waste. And then you have to mix them and wear gloves, because there are chemicals in this, especially when you mix them. And I'm gonna mix them till there are no color, everything is just one color, so it'll take about 5 minutes or longer to mix it. It's a bit tedious, but that's what it is. So I'm gonna do that off camera. Okay, I got the clay. I can't sculpt with gloves, but some people like to wear gloves with this throughout the usage, but it is very soft. You can let it sit for an hour and then it's easier to handle. For it firms up, we have about, they say you can work for it for 3 hours before it gets too firm, but I haven't tried that, so I don't know. But I have let it sit for at least an hour before, when it was very hot. So you don't have to be too careful about this, because we're going to cover it with some fabric or ribbons. So the ribbons will attach to the clay. That's the idea. You don't need a very thick layer either. You want to cover the foil. I use the clay as glue, like I said. But if you use polymer clay, you can, or air dry clay, you can glue fabric to it after it's dry, and that will make any kind of fabric or ribbon adhere nicely. So I try to use a pretty thin layer because I don't want a hugely bulky doll. And this is going to be the head, and that's where I will adhere the face. So this is going to be the back of the head here. And this will make the face stick to it. This is pretty hollow in the back, so you have to have some kind of make sure that it fits and sticks. So you can, like, I tilted the head here slightly, just to get an expression. So okay, let me get some ribbons. So these are ribbons I bought at, I think, on Etsy. So they are kind of color coordinated. I don't have, you could use yarn also, but I think I'm gonna go with the purple. Also, you might want to put a piece of wire on the back to hang it later. There are many ways you could do this. You could just put a like a ribbon, but I was thinking maybe I can embed a piece of wire because it will stick. So she's pretty cute like that. I was thinking of sticking a crystal at the head here, but I think the crystal is too big. That could, I don't know, I just, because I have the two things sticking at the top there. So I'm just gonna pick a random ribbon here and start wrapping it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do for hair, but this is so easy. So if this was polymer clay, I would just use glue once it was cooked or baked. Once this is dry, you can also add like sew onto the ribbon something. Sew some more ribbon on there possibly. I do want to cover the clay. So like that. And then you can get some other type of ribbon. The clay will wrap. I mean, the clay is so sticky that you could it'll gonna go through that first layer, so you can just keep on wrapping. The purpose here is to give her some kind of clothing, but also make sure to cover the clay. You can still see through it a little bit. Let me see. I could do some kind of fringe maybe around the head like that. I'll try. For hair. And leave it hanging low, or just cut it off at the ear length. Excuse me. Maybe I... It's kind of cute. I have to cover the back here where I have my hanging loop. I could, let's see. There isn't so much clay there. I have to really poke that in. We could put it on under the face also, like a halo type. I'm going to get that loop kind of, make sure it's straight. So when I hang it up, it's going to be, you could probably put a flat piece of fabric in the back here. Just really covering it. It's not like I'm going to have anything showing really in the back. Well, this fluffy ribbon is good in that you can hide the clay pretty good. I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then I am gonna go over the body a little more because I can still feel some of the clay through it. I'm just tucking in the ends here in some clay. You might want to go a little crisscross and check for where there is any clay sticking out. I always find it easier to work with clay than fabric. Okay. I see a little bit of clay sticking through here. I don't think you can put on too much ribbon because it's decorative. It gives the doll character. Okay. Sticking that in there. Can come back when it's dry to trim off any loose ends. So I guess that's a very simple doll. You could put dangles on it, you know, little beads, and sew things on these once they're dry. I just don't want to spend hours on this video, so that is just a really basic shape. And I'm gonna paint it in another video, so paint the face once this is dry. So that's it. Thank you for watching.